Alert box 125, pier number 5, foot of Concord Street. Keep high. Okay, taxi 5, third alarm, box 125. Alert, third alarm, box 125, pier number 5, foot of Concord Street. Alert, third alarm, box 125, pier number 5, foot of Concord Street.
Is rated number 1 in fire prevention and number 2 in firefighting in the United States. In the next 30 minutes, you will see why. In the city of Baltimore, a fire breaks out on the average of about 1 every 30 minutes. On February 12, 1968, fire broke out in a lumber company on Pier 5, Pratt Street, in the heart of downtown Baltimore. The fire raged for nearly 5 hours. 300 firefighters and 65 pieces of firefighting apparatus responded. Their job? To contain the fire, beat it back, and finally stamp it out. A tough job. Potentially, this was one of the most dangerous fires to strike Baltimore in years. Before this fire had run its course, $3 million worth of property had been destroyed. But it could have been worse, for this night was made for disaster. Steady 15-mile-an-hour winds sent burning debris throughout the harbor area. Adjoining piers and the frigate Constellation berthed nearby were threatened. Only the men of the Baltimore Fire Department stood in the way. Men like Mike Sunderland, a rookie firefighter, 21 years old. Mike's career had just started. A few short months before, he was in school. But this was no ordinary school. Here, the tools of learning were axes and hoses, as well as pencil and paper. This was the Baltimore Fire Department's fire school, whose high standards make it serve as a model for fire departments around the country. Here, Mike Sunderland learned his trade.
I had heard about the fire department having openings, and all of a sudden it just seemed to hit me that I got the bug. So here was an opportunity to join, and I did it more or less on my own. My parents were sort of surprised because they thought I was going to stay working where I had been working. They said as long as this is what I was wanted, do it, go ahead and do it.
The rest of it, if you were watching.
An intensive 10-week course gave rookie firefighters like Mike a thorough understanding of the nature of fire and how to fight it. And what is perhaps just as important, it built a respect for fire as a wily, dangerous enemy.
He is turning the air from the bottle.
There was no daydreaming in this school.
you to die.
Each man knew that what he learned might save his life or the life of someone else.
Corner of the box.
A lot of this training was classroom theory,
Forearm.
but a lot more of it was learned the hard way, by doing the things that would have to be done in combat against an actual fire.
The first week, I'd say, was a lot of paperwork and weren't too busy, but after that, things started hopping. We had to learn the many different pieces of equipment, you know, such as ladders and certain types of nozzles and lengths and sizes of hose and various types of trucks, and what to do in certain situations, about scaling buildings, scaling walls, how to use ladders, use all this various equipment, and why use it. You know. Training school I thought was great. We were taught all the basics for firefighting. We dealt with what they call safe fires out there, just to get the idea of what it'd be like when we actually get out into the field. But it was very close to real, the fires that we did have. It seemed like there was so much to learn in the first few weeks. And, you know, I got to wondering if I'd made the right decision or whether I'd be of any service to the fire department in the future. But I stayed with it, and it's been working out pretty good so far.
The training was tough and thorough. A man had to be in top physical shape. The fire department saw that he was.
I guess the most shaky thing at fire school for me was the training tower. And I had to learn how to slide these ropes to come off of buildings in case of emergency and bring people and rescue people this way too. It was just the idea of getting used to the height.
Over the weeks, Mike built his confidence in himself.
This training is very valuable to get here, because here is, you know, you learn all the ladders and poles and all the basic fundamentals of firefighting. The actual experience on fires is you put these fundamentals into use when you get on the fire. And that's where you get your real experience, when you're actually fighting fires out in the field.
Move up on it. That's it. Move on the fall now. Get close, right down the fire. Right around the back. Keep your water damage down in the house. We don't want to do any more damage with water than we absolutely have to. But here at the training school, this is the way we have to do it, to show you the importance of getting it open to get all the fire out of it. All right, Sutherland, back your line out now. Back it out, fellas. Back his line out.
Stay back on the ladder. Lean back.
He learned to climb walls with a pumpier ladder. He learned to rappel himself down the side of buildings. But most important, he learned to conquer his own fear. And to realize his own capabilities as a man, as an active member of a firefighting team.
Both feet out. Then the second rung, put her on the left foot.
Every morning we have, for about an hour or so, a physical fitness program that they've set to keep us in shape for all the work that we do out here.
Now hold up on the roof a minute, hold up. All right, let's do the man in the net. One man in the net. Lay the ladder down, lay it in the net.
Whenever you are fighting a fire that has a lot of heat to it, turn your hats around backwards. So this is going to have a lot of heat in this fire, so turn your hat around now. Do not have it up high, have it down just over your eyes.
right, now remember, go in shoulder high, 1 foot off the oil.
They let off the tanker, a big old tanker that they have sitting out there in the field, and it was amazing to me how I could get that close to a fire that was that hot, and put it out, get it under control, along with the rest of the team. I worked.
Get the center part, work your way back. Hey, get the corner. Back here. Okay, go back.
Mike was taught about every conceivable type of fire, how it starts, how to fight it, and how to prevent it.
Yeah. I want the booster line back here. Just hold that in a minute. All right, let's go.
This is the 100-foot truck ladder. The men are required to climb this. They'll do it when they're actually in combat against a fire, and they have to be prepared to descend with another person should there be someone trapped in a room, a burning room. Things like climbing a ladder, coming down a tall building should be second nature to a firefighter.
The biggest problem with jumping out of the window into the life net is your landing. You want to land directly on your backside and your back. If you land in a sitting up position and fall forward, you could snap your back or break a leg or arm or something.
I'd had thoughts about what would be involved in being in the fire department. Mike has always been a pretty good student, and he could pick things up pretty good. So if he chose the fire department, that's what he wanted, well, I thought, well, let him go ahead and do it, see how he makes out. So that was, we never had any doubts about the boy. We always thought he was capable of mastering anything he tried.
I thought when Mike decided to join the fire department, thought it was a good idea. It's a dangerous job. We went down to see him through the schooling and all. And I saw some of those things he went through, and that scared me because climbing up the buildings and all, I saw how dangerous it was, but I think Mike can pretty well take care of himself.
I had a great for the first time I ever did it, but now it's more fun because I know what I'm doing and I have more confidence in my jumping.
By the time he finished his instruction at the fire school, firefighting had become instinctive for him, a way of life. At the completion of this course, Mike, like other rookies, was assigned to a firefighting company.
The biggest problem facing a new firefighter would be to become a member of the team. Now, when he comes in the firehouse, he's faced with a situation where you have a group of men who've been working together for a long period of time. They're used to one another, they're used to one another's habits, and they know how one another work. And a new man is more or less on trial.
We have an excellent program of fire prevention here. We go inspect dwellings, private dwellings, with the okay of the occupant. In other words, we can't force our way into them unless we have a complaint. But we do try to explain things to these people about proper fuses in their box, in their electric box, and storage of certain articles around the furnace, and so on and so forth. And most people will go along. They'll tell you, well, I never knew this. And if you've never been involved in a fire, I think that you think this is never going to happen to me.
Mike's young, but I'm sure he'll come along just the same as any other fellows around. He looks to know his job pretty well around here right now and looks to absorb his training pretty good. But the first big fire will be the real test. It'll show what kind of man he really is.
In those quiet periods, there's time for a bit of relaxation, getting to know his teammates. For when that alarm rings, they have to be as much a team as the boy may be called on to put his life in their hands.
I don't know, Don, but it's the same one that was talking
through that
Yeah,
before?
yeah, usually, they've been pretty close. Not only that,
He's young and inexperienced, as we all were when we first started. He's trying hard, and he's learning the job very well. But that first big fire, that's the real test.
The first thing that went through your mind is fear, but it's not really fear. You don't really think of this until after the fire's over.
And this is the nerve center of Baltimore's entire fire department, where men and machines are marshaled for the attack. The Office of Fire Alarm.
You're thinking of what you're going to do when you arrive on the scene and how you can be of service to the people involved and to your fellow firemen that work with you. You hope to remember everything that you're taught for your safety and the safety of others, and to get the fire under control as soon as possible to save loss of value for property.
This is the fire, the moment of challenge for Mike Sunderland and his teammates. It is a big one. Already the flames are leaping high against the sky, lighting up the entire harbor area. The fire has spread halfway down the pier, fanned by those deadly winds. Flaming debris swirls through the night. Now the chips are down for the men of the Baltimore Fire Department. Now that training, those long hours of study, all the experience, courage, and ingenuity of veterans and rookies alike will have to be laid on the line. Mike Sunderland and the other firefighters begin their attack. The problem is clear-cut for the man who leads them: to coordinate the nearly 300 men and their firefighting apparatus into a vast, striking attack. Objective: get ahead of the raging fire, protect other property, and finally, beat down the flames to the last smoking ember. The man who headed up this assault is Deputy Chief Joseph P. Pichocki.
Immediately upon our arrival, it was apparent that we had a potentially dangerous and fast-moving fire. The wind was blowing from the northwesterly direction, which meant that it was blowing from the head of the pier towards the end of the pier, the water edge of the pier, which would be approximately 3/4 of the length of the pier. With the high wind and the good start that it had, the plywood company being fully involved, and with the open lumber pier just across the slip in the path of the winds and fire and heat, we immediately sounded 5 alarms. The problem there was not just to try to contain that fire in the upper end of the pier, but then to, again, in just a few minutes, we realized we had to dispatch many more men than we had available at that time to go to the Pier 6, cover the open lumber pier. So then an adjacent street box was sounded, and we sent the entire assignment to take care of the rain of sparks and embers falling on the open lumber pier.
It was so black, I couldn't see right from my face. It was not only just that you couldn't see, it was sometimes choking. The only thing that you could hope for was that the wind would change or something and you'd get a little bit of fresh air. There was smoke at one time. It was so bad, I mean, it actually hurt to breathe.
Of course, when you hear a fire engine go by, the first thing you wonder now, of course, at the beginning, we didn't think too much about it, but now, the first time you hear a fire engine or hear of a big fire, you wonder, well, is Mike working or is he not working? And, of course, this is something we'll have to get over, but I mean, this is what goes through your mind. And
their hands freeze up. We had several cases of near frostbite where fellows stay on the line and in their enthusiasm and to stay and try to get that fire. Everyone fighting a fire like that thinks that he puts his maximum effort. He may be the one to stop that fire. To extinguish that fire, and the men who really get a good bit of the credit for it are the people who are the doers, the people who went there and had to turn their helmets around and go down that pier into the teeth of that fire and break up this firestorm when their boots were heating up on the Belgian block. And that is due, I would say, to the very high morale prevailing in the fire department today.
I was glad when I had a chance to take a break, go get some hot chocolate, because it was rather cold, and it seemed like the cold was going right through you. And getting warm, I figured I'd like to start from the inside out. So sure was glad to see this coffee wagon here. I didn't know at the time how long the fire was going to last, but I was glad I was there, actually, even though it was cold, to get the experience. I don't think I'll forget this for a while. And, it'll naturally come back to me in fires that I know I'll have, in the future.
It took Deputy Chief Pichocki and his men nearly 5 hours of hard, dangerous work to control this fire. 13 of his men were injured. Even after the fire was controlled, it continued to flare up time and again throughout the tense night.
This fire is over, except, of course, for the heartbreak and loss it caused. But there will be other fires. Even as I talk to you now, another alarm may come in, which will send men and equipment racing to another scene, another challenge. Because the battle against fire is a never-ending thing. And from what we've seen, I think you'll agree that it takes a special breed of people, people with a keen sense of public service. It's pretty obvious, too, that modern firefighting is a costly thing, representing a tremendous dollar investment in equipment, buildings, and manpower.
The fact that this fire didn't get out of hand is a tribute to the training, skill, and courage of the men of the Baltimore Fire Department. Performance like this, day after day, against every kind of odds, is the reason that the Baltimore Fire Department is rated among the nation's very best.